Okay, so my name is Jessie Hogsett. I'm back again to talk about reactive attachment disorder. A few people have requested for my first video to make a second video about what causes reactive attachment disorder and how I viewed my adoptive family with having reactive attachment disorder and what I thought and what thoughts were going through my mind, how I perceived them. So anyway, reactive attachment disorder um, is a result of a child usually from birth to about age 4 or 5, not getting, love, care, affection, consistency, food, shelter, basic needs that we need as a human to thrive. And as we know, a study showed us is that from birth to 5, child's brains are sponges. They absorb so much information, and as parents, we teach them to love, we teach them to trust, we teach them to smile, to feel comfortable. Everything that we do affects our children because they learn from us. Okay? So imagine, um, in my case, I was born to a single mother. Okay, now imagine an alcoholic, recreational drug use, I'm sure, although she won't. She didn't admit that to me, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But anyway, imagine as a child, a single mother, and you go to your mom and you have an owie, and your mom's drunk and doesn't pick you up and hold you or cuddle you or tell you it's going to be okay. Imagine waking up at nighttime to find that your mother is not in the house, anywhere to be found. You just woke up from a bad dream or a nightmare, and you need that affection, you need that hug, and she's nowhere around. Okay. Imagine mom's boyfriends abusing, hitting, physically hitting, sexually abusing your sister, uh, physically abusing yourself. You know, imagine you're hungry, you go to bed hungry, your stomach growls, it hurts so much because you don't have any food to eat. Why? Because your mother would rather be doing other things with the money. Okay? And when you go and try to find food, what little there is, and you make a mess, you get in trouble for those messes. And that happened a lot when I was a kid. Okay? So abuse, neglect, inconsistency, there was no love. If there's some kind of tension between partners, that can have a big effect. Again, a lot of loud noises, arguing, anger. Okay, if we're not, as parents, if we're not happy in our relationship and there's a lot of tension there, you can bet that will rub off on the child. Okay, even while the child's in utero, even while you're still pregnant, the child can pick up on these changes in your body. They can hear things. Okay? They can feel your tension, your anxiety, your stress. Okay? So with reactive attachment disorder, again, they don't learn to trust. They don't learn to have affection. They learn to get whatever they need by any means necessary because they're not provided the basic necessities by who they should be provided it by, and it's by the parents. So as a child grows, they learn to do whatever is necessary to get their needs met, lying, stealing, manipulation, whatever. And as far as the trust, they can't learn to trust because they can't trust their parents. They were hit, they were abused, they were neglected. Why should they trust anybody else if that's all they know? They can't get close to anybody because they weren't taught the bonding. The parents didn't pick them up. They didn't hold them close, skin-on-skin contact. They didn't kiss them and soothe them and pick them up and tell them it's going to be okay if they had a bad dream at night time. They didn't pick them up and put a Band-Aid on if they fell down and hurt their knee or their elbow. Instead, they were left there crying, 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 waiting for somebody to pick them up, and nobody came. And that's what babies do. They cry for one of two reasons. They're hungry or wet, or they want to be picked up. Right? That's how they communicate. They cry. So if you cry and cry and cry and nobody's coming to pick you up or to change your diaper or to pick you up and hug you, what are you going to do? You're not going to trust anybody. And you're going to be detached from people. Okay. So when I became a foster child at age 5, I thought my biological mother was coming back for me. And that was always in the back of my mind. This was just a temporary place for me to go, and my biological mother's coming back for me. And even though all the abuse and stuff I endured through her, she was still my biological mother. I still had a connection to her. Okay, not an attachment or a bond, but I had a connection to her. She was my mother. Now, after I got adopted at age 7 by the foster family, I still thought my biological mother was coming for me, because through visitation she always says, "Hey, I'm getting my stuff together and I'm going to come get you." Well, little did I know at the time, she was most of the time drunk when she would come. She was most of the time drunk when she would call on the phone and speak to my parents, my adoptive parents. And pretty soon, after she kept calling and saying she was going to come and never came, my adoptive parents finally didn't even tell me that she would call. Okay? But for the longest period of time, I thought she was coming back for me. I only had one mother, and that was my biological mother. Not this foreign person that's all of a sudden in my life calling me her son. Not this lady who I really didn't know, but I had a biological mother. And because I knew I had a biological mother and nobody can take her place, I pushed this other lady away, my adopted mother. I pushed her away as far as I could, as hard as I could. I was mean. I was resentful. I didn't want to listen to her. She couldn't tell me what to do. No, I had my mindset. She was not my mother. Now, my father, since I never had a father figure in my life, I immediately connected to her. Immediately. Remember, the women I could not trust. The men I connected to. Okay? And within 6 months, I called him Dad. Okay? 3 years later, I'm still calling my adopted mother Suzanne. Right? So I would constantly push her away. She would try to smother me with love and affection, and that does not work. Right? We all know love is not enough. I think there's a book written on it. Didn't work. I'd push her away and push her away and push farther away. All right? I didn't know what love was. I didn't know what affection was. Again, no idea. But it wasn't working. I didn't care what they tried to do. I didn't care if they tried to be nice. Pushed her away. My biological mother was coming for me, and that was in the back of my head all the time. Right? As I got a little bit older, when I started stealing, and manipulating, and lying, playing with fire, wanting to harm animals, wanting to harm myself, I was in control. I felt I was in control. I looked at my parents, my adopted parents, and I looked at them and I could see just the utter frustration on their face. Okay, on the outside, I was in control, and I liked it. But on the inside, part of me knew it was wrong, but I didn't care. Okay. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't care because I was out to take care of me and me only. Now, my adoptive parents, they tried everything under the sun. They didn't have the necessary tools like we're trying to get families today. They didn't have the necessary education or literature out there like we're trying to get families today. They did the best they could. And finally, at age 12, I was diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder. And they finally found a therapist and a psychiatrist for me to start seeing, and the ball rolled, and I spent time in a residential treatment facility. Okay. Now, looking back, would I go back and change stuff in my past? Absolutely not. And I say that because without my past, I would not be the man I am today. Okay. We can always use our past as a helping tool for others. We can always use our past as a positive influence for other people. Okay. So never regret what happened in your past. Use it, turn it around, and be a positive for other people. Okay. To this day, my parents, my biological mother passed away recently at the age of 54 years old. I've always loved her. But my parents, Suzanne and Jerry Hogsett, they are my mom and dad. And I accept them 100%. And that will never change.